Okay, this project is to either fix or change if you have one of these Leviot HEPA air filters. A lot of people, I've got some of these, they stop working, the controls are a little problematic, it'll start to beep at you. It has this thing on the side where it's supposed to sense the air quality and tell you when to change the filter. I've owned a bunch of these for many years, and I've never found any of that useful. All I really want to do is turn the thing on, adjust it to whatever speed I want it to run at, and that's it. I don't really use the timer or any other controls whatsoever. So this project is to basically replace what it comes with a new control, be able to set its speed, and do that. Now, if you open one of these things up, you'll see that in the heart of it is this motor here. It's a DC motor, but it has a speed controller, so it's got 3 wires on it. And the difficulty is it's got this extra wire, this yellow wire, and so you can't just hook power up to it and turn the thing on. So you have to figure that out. So the first step is to get a new power supply, and this is the one I ordered. It's 15 bucks. It's a 20-watt power supply. Links in the description below, and you'll see me when I'm doing my little video clips repeat all of this, so you're about to see this again and you'll see how it's used. And then here's the device that's going to control turning the thing on and off and how fast the motor is spinning. You can see I got 2 for 20 so I spent about 10 bucks. So this project in total cost me about $25 per unit that I did this to. But when you're done, you'll be able to turn it on and off and turn that knob and set how fast the motor goes. Alright, here's what you're going to need. First, you're going to need one of these Leviot, probably mispronouncing that, HEPA filters that either you don't like its controls, it's got this silly air sensor so it can nag you and tell you when to spend more money on its filters, and then it's got all these controls which some people like, some people don't like, and ultimately they stop working, which is the real problem. So it's still a good unit, looks nice, it's got a good motor, it does the filtering part. Just don't like all these controls and how the thing works and stops working. So to do this project, we're going to put our own controller in there and bypass all that stuff. So you're going to need a soldering iron, some solder, and 2 parts you got to buy. A new power supply, which I bought this one. But what you want is 24 volts DC. So AC to 24 volt DC, and the motor that's in this thing is 17 watts. So anything greater than 17 watts and you're good to go. Anything over 20 watts and it's probably going to start getting big, and you got to fit it inside there, so don't get too crazy. And then you need this, is the magic to make the whole thing go. So what it is called a PWM, pulse width modulation. And the width of a pulse is always known as a frequency. So you can just refer to this little guy as a frequency generator. So it's got one of those things where you push it, this is a button, and you turn it, and that's the setting. And it goes back and forth between 2 different settings, 1 to 100 for output, and the other setting is the frequency, or the pulse width modulation. And the way this motor that's inside this thing, you can't just hook it up to a power supply. It's got a 3rd wire that's yellow, and that yellow wire takes a pulse width modulation input, and it's what controls the speed of the motor. So this little doodad is going to control how fast the motor goes from 1 to 100. And then you're going to need a Dremel tool just to give that a place to live. Some wire strippers, some duct tape and some electrical tape. Might need a Sharpie, a Phillips screwdriver. Now I got this electric one, but any screwdriver would work. And that's basically it. With those supplies, we'll be able to convert this thing to a manually driven HEPA filter where you can just turn a knob from 1 to 100, and that's how fast the motor will go. And you can fine tune it then versus just small, medium, and large the way the built-in controls work. You only got 3 real speeds: low, medium, and high. So being able to dial it from 1 to 100 is handy. Forgot to mention one last tool. 2 tools. You might need a vacuum cleaner. And you might need one of these funky security bits. This one looks like a little triangle, because one of the screws in this silly thing is one of those. And you might really struggle to get that out if you don't have this bit. Okay, for screws, there are 3 on the bottom edge. There are 3 inside the unit when you remove the back panel and take out the filters. And there are 2 in these channels at the top, 1 on each side. Okay, even with all those screws out, this top panel is held on with clips, and it can be kind of a booger to yank off of there. So you might use some kind of tool to pry it open and kind of yank on it. Anyway, it does come open. Once all those screws are out, you just have to get it off of there. Okay, once that's off, we're just going to start cutting wires. Now, we're going to cut those wires. We are going to cut these wires at the end. This is the, you'll see it's the white, just the same as the power cord. It's that white wire that comes in. That's what we're going to use for power, so cut that right at the end. This wire here with the 3 different wires on it, black, red, and yellow, is coming off the motor. See it coming in there? And that's what drives the motor. And so that one, you want to cut it off right at the end. Don't cut it in half or whatever. We're going to use the length of this wire. These control wires, this sensor module, you can cut all those. So once we cut it, there's a few more screws. There's 1 screw here that holds this module in. There's 2 screws that hold the current power module in, and there's 1 screw that holds the, it looks like a AC conditioner module in, and it's a cutoff. So the other thing this upgrade's going to do is it's not going to turn the thing off just because you open the back hatch and you're putting new filters in. Okay, just to make this more clear, I did the screws first, and I'll show you all the wires you can cut. You can cut these, cut these, come over here, you can cut these, this is that control module, there's the power going to it, and last but not least, the 3 wires going up to the motor. So after you cut all that out, you'll have the 3 wires going to the motor, the 2 wires coming in for power, and that is all you're going to need. Okay, this module's got 4 terminals. the power supply has 2 wires coming in for AC and 2 wires going out for DC. Mine has a power plug, so I'm going to cut that off. And then I am going to strip these wires. I'm going to strip those wires, and I've stripped all the other wires. Okay, my power supply had a ground. So instead of 2 wires coming in, it was 3 wires coming in, which is good because I'm going to need a small piece of wire. So green is ground. So I cut that little piece of wire off, and I'm going to use that. I'll show you how later. So when you go to strip these, if you don't have that little piece of wire, just find yourself a little piece of wire. Okay, for wiring, your ACN goes to the input of your power supply. And it's alternating credit, so it can either one can go to either one. Just put them together. From your motor, you got 3 wires. The yellow stays by itself. The red, which is positive, goes to the positive output of your power supply. Now your power supply will probably have a little thing that tells you which one's positive. You got to figure that out. Whatever the positive output is, hook that up to the red. The negative goes to the black wire for the motor and that little extra wire we talked about before. Now when you do these, leave a little something extra. You see how I have it so that you have something to stick in to your little terminal here so you can screw onto something, so it's not such a big clump that you can't get it in there to screw it on. Alright, so as far as what goes where, V minus is the black wire from the motor and the negative from the power supply. V plus is the red wire from the motor and the positive from the power supply. PWM minus is that extra little nubbin off the negative. So that's bridging that over from V negative over to PWM negative. They're all sharing that same ground. And then PWM plus is the one magic yellow wire that goes to the motor that controls the speed. Oh, and I'm pretty sure I forgot to mention, you're going to need a tiny little screwdriver to do those little terminals to hook those wires up. Alright, after you get done soldering those, tape them up with your electrical tape. Should look something like this. I ended up using a little piece of electrical tape on the one terminal just so it wouldn't accidentally touch the wire next to it, because you see how it kind of sticks out. Those things are pretty small, a little bit delicate to work with, but just make sure they're all in there, and if you tug on them they don't come out. And again, from right to left, that is negative from the power supply, black from the motor, and your little lead wire in the first one. In the second one, positive from the power supply, red from the motor. In the third one, it is the negative shared from the first terminal there with that little extra piece of wire that we used. And in the fourth one, it's the yellow wire to the motor. Alright, as soon as I plugged it in, this is what came up. And the motor, you notice, turned on. And if you notice, the knob is also a push button. And you see how it's going between the first thing and the second thing. And the first thing, kilohertz, is frequency. And what I set mine to is 20. So you just spin it. I know I'm in my own way here. Spin it, spin it, spin it. 2, 3. Eight. It does start to go faster. 20. Perfect. And then on the second thing is the percentage, and that's literally the output, and that correlates to how fast the thing spins. So if you notice, as I go up, there's half, all the way up to full speed. All the way down to whatever you like to keep yours at. I think I've been doing about 40%. And then it also has a power button. Links in the description for both of these parts I bought. But then once you have it set the way you like it, you can just use that power button to turn on and off. Now you're going to have this kind of clump of wires and then these two devices just sort of floating around. How do you get them so that when you close all this up, you can actually control it? Now what I do is I use this little gap on the side. If you notice, there's a little gap here, and it's about the right size. So what I'm going to do is I am going to create a little square with my Dremel tool right about here, and I'm just going to jam that in there, and it's just going to show through. It's not going to be the most pretty. You're welcome to make that thing as nice as you want to make it. That's how I do mine. So I just kind of drew a square on there with my Sharpie, and then I won't be able to film this because I don't have 3 hands, but I use my vacuum in one hand and my Dremel in the other hand, and I literally just gouge that square out with my Dremel until there's a square window right there. Okay. After I went around with it with my Dremel, see, it's just made a big hole in the side of the thing. Next, I kind of place my module in that big hole, and you can see it's pretty loose. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all this wire and I'm going to jam it behind there so that it'll kind of hold this in. So it's going to fill the rest of that gap up with the wire from the power supply. Then I'm going to get my duct tape. I'm going to tape it all up, and for me that's good enough. Okay, you can see I didn't go for beauty. I went just to have it in there, but now the thing is pretty much in there. And from the outside, you'll be able to walk up to it, hit the button, and turn the knob and see what the setting's at. And again, for me, that's good enough. Alright, to close it all up, you just do everything in reverse. The front panel goes back on. And the 3 screws at the bottom, the 3 screws in the back, and these 2 screws in there. Okay, so there you go. And you can just adjust it. However you happen to like it.